This is my free-to-play account. It is 5000 SP, and I'm about to go up against a team of over 7000 SP opponents. How did we get here? Well, this is for the MAQC Quarterly Clash tournament that is held on Discord and features just one battle per week for 4 weeks straight in order to get some decent prizes. Now, I did get a prize from my participation, and I will show you what I got at the end, but this entire process was very interesting, and I hope to make this video so that some of you who are thinking of participating can understand better what to expect, what you'll be up against, and how to deal with it. Now, as is usual with tournaments that I participate in, I was the team leader, which means it was my job to coordinate back and forth with their team leader. And I don't necessarily like that, but it does make sure that the job is done well. Thankfully, unlike last time, there were no major scheduling issues, except for the last match, kind of, which we'll get into. My teammates were simply members of my free-to-play clan. All of them did well. I have no notes to make on their performances, really. I appreciate all of you for joining. So all of these matches are on predetermined maps. It is a single match, so we have to make sure that it counts. The first one was on Site 313. Very close quarters map, very lace swinger lancer heavy map, which I was not using at the time. In fact, I don't think any of my teammates were using lancer or lace swing. Now, it was important to make sure that we went in with a plan. We knew that they had several Deathwalkers. They had one Aegis that was rank 6, near max, I think. It was very, very strong, stacked with mods and such. That was their strongest player, and we needed to make sure to focus them down. They also had one Outlaw that would counter the several Deathwalkers that happened to be on my team as well. So our plan is to be very aggressive from the start, go for their Outlaw first off, and then we can play it slow and win gradually over time by just using Deathwalkers that they're not going to really be able to deal with. We also had several Outlaws deal with their Deathwalkers, so we make sure that we have one of those in cycle at all times as well. One of their members never showed up, so it was a 5v4 in our favor. Alright, fellas, let's go. It's gonna jump top. Nice. Gemini on Lancer, okay. It's fine. I got a Nomad stock, go for it. Okay, the Lancer is dead. That is nice. We need that gone. Nice job, fellas. It is gonna be probably that right there. And that. Target him. Nice job. Nicely done. Okay. So that right there is a seeker. I'll let it jump destructive. Potential. Yeah, that's a seeker. All right, back me up then. Yep. Oopsie. I think I accidentally pressed the Angie button, which was not what I was trying to do. I'm gonna go with this just in case they have an Outlaw. I actually have no idea. Ah, crap. Myself, along with one of them on their team, ended up getting disconnected halfway through due to a bug with Hellfire, actually, at the time. If you spawned any mech with Hellfire, the game just stopped working. Yeah, whoever it was that said that Hellfire was bugged, they're 100% right. That was basically a free win. I would have personally been willing to rerun it, but I didn't even realize one of them had disconnected until like 30 minutes after the fact, so my team was already gone. But the plan worked without a hitch pretty much, and with that bit of advantage that we had just by default, we ended up winning round 1 without too much trouble. Match 2 was a very different scenario. This one was a 3v5 in their favor on smokestacks. Now, we had an opportunity with the map here. Smokestacks is a very close quarters heavy map, and like guided spam type weapons like Strike Rocket that I would normally use doesn't work very well, so I didn't bother using that. I trust my teammates to do pretty well. The problem, I think, is going to be that primarily bot 1 and bot 2 better be farmed the frick out. As always, I made sure to check all of the opponent's hangars to see what they have, what they don't have, what their strengths and weaknesses are. When I did this, I actually noticed a distinct tendency toward very supportive backline builds and an extreme lack of pushing power. So they had nothing that was actually capable of putting force on us if we had a beacon. So it was incredibly important for us to make sure that we grab center first and we defend from there. Alright, cool. That's fine. Works for me. He's fairly weak. What is that? Search? No big deal. There's an Aegis around here still? Yeah. Yeah. They had 2 mechs between the 5 of them that were capable of applying decent pressure. I made sure to note who those players were and what those mechs were and communicate that to my teammates to make sure that they focus down those players and make sure that those specific mechs were not able to put high pressure on the center beacon. It's going to be very difficult for us to win, but if we're able to hold the center even just for a long amount of time, we can still gain a significant advantage. I'm gonna give this a little bit of time. Should be able to kill him. Uh-oh. Sad boys. This guy's stacked the frick out, dude. I'm gonna go with this, or bots finally made it in. Let's go. We're doing good. This is as I planned. Now we need to make sure that we work as fast as possible and capture as many beacons as possible right from the start. We cannot play the long game because we're 2 players down, which essentially means that they can farm out 10 of our mechs in those 2 bots extremely quickly, so we cannot play the long game, period. We need to make sure that we play exclusively as aggressively as possible to end the match as quickly as possible. I should have gone for that stupid. Do whatever, bro. I mean, I can just do this, it's fine. Well, I think, generally speaking, we're gonna be okay. Oh, they even have a strike rocket guy. Man, they shouldn't have gone with that. I'm using my, oh, wow. Look at these fellas, bro. Nice, all right. Somebody had their outline here. That's a Hellfire Panther that I saw, and that's a Maxed Redeemer. I'm actually going to go with the Vortex for additional holding power. We need to make sure. I got you, girl. I'm so dead. He needs to be able to... Ooh, okay, there we go. Yeah, the Tengus are some of their strongest things. Alright, here we go. Both Tengu's dead. They don't have anything else that's like super stacked beside that, but they do have a Nomad. They do have a Revoker Nomad still somewhere. Blankenslayer did exactly what I told them to do. They followed my plan to a T, and everything worked flawlessly. We never lost the center beacon, and we won by influence before our mechs were able to deplete, and that is match 2 in the bag. On to match 3. This one was even tougher. Our opponents were very strong. They had some very good mechs. They were not specifically lacking in any department at all. They had several Deathwalkers. They were also backed up by an Outlaw. They had plenty of pushing power. So it was our job to just make sure that we secure our 2 home beacons and grab center for just long enough in order to win while holding our ground as much as possible. And frankly, it didn't help the fact that the map was Paradise Plaza. It's not a map that I'm super familiar with in terms of specific plans. So it was mostly just a matter of locating a few priority targets on the enemy team, making sure we knew who had the Outlaw so that someone could go rush them and try to kill them as quickly as possible. Killing their Outlaw mostly frees up our Deathwalkers to be able to roam the map as much as they want to, making sure that my team knows what to start with so that we can have a balanced initial composition as well as initial placements in terms of where they go and where they push right from the start. But after the starting phase, it was left down to the individual players to kind of decide how they wanted to go about certain things. Keep in mind, I had no way of communicating with any of these guys during this entire video. Of the 4 of them, only one of them had a Discord, and I was not in a call with them at the time. So all of these guys were just working off of what I had told them in the clan chat prior to starting the match. This is also the first match where I'm able to use my Citadel. I have pod gun 8 and 12 on it. I was able to use it as a bit of a tank to kind of rush toward one of their back beacons. That just puts pressure on them and takes pressure off of center. The center beacon, from as far as I could tell, changed hands quite a lot. There was a period where we held the center for a reasonable amount of time, and honestly, it came to great surprise that we did actually end up winning this one. That, along with honestly just raw luck, we ended up managing to squeeze this one through. But this is where our luck ran out, because now we are moving on to match number 4. This is the last match that we have, and we were up against the strongest people in our bracket, which, by the way, the bracket size was from 6,000 to 9,000, and most of my team were like just around the 6,000 mark, but we were up against this team who is like 7,000 to 8,000. Now, by this point, I had duplicated my minigun 10, so I was able to use it to get a little bit more effectiveness rather than the pod gun that I was using in the last match. And so we knew this was going to be a tough one. What made it even worse was the fact that it was on the Mech Arena map, which is a pretty notoriously bad map if you have a player disadvantage, right? But still, we needed a plan. So once again, we have to optimize for Deathwalkers primarily, knowing that they don't have any outlaws whatsoever, but we do. Now, I believe every single one of them had a Deathwalker, which made it, a bit scary, as well as every single one of them having a Nomad and or a Surge, I believe. So they had a lot of pushing power. It was going to be very difficult for us to hold these beacons or for us to do much of anything. Now, the plan this time around was to try to play passively. Capture a couple beacons, don't go for the center because it's a death trap, everyone knows that. But capture 2 side beacons and hold them for as long as possible. Don't go head to head because we are going to lose 9 times out of 10 because they're just way stronger than us. So the goal is to rely on our outlaws to shut down their Deathwalkers and slowly kill them over time with help of like my Orion, Hemlock, Solus, stuff like that. Obviously, we need a good initial push, so I came up with what I consider a reasonable starting strategy, with everyone starting with a specific mech, going a specific direction, and then having something that they would spawn into after if I expected that mech to die quickly. Most of this was flipped on its head, because the team leader on their end had some connection problems or whatever, and we ended up not even being able to start until 30 minutes after the agreed time. At that point, one of my teammates wasn't even able to play. He had to leave, so it ended up being a 4v4 with each of us missing one player and one of our players at 2% battery. Now, is it fair to wait 30 minutes? I don't even know. The only thing that I knew was that I didn't want the grand finale to end on a bot match. We did run a bot match after they didn't show up for 20 minutes. And then I get a DM from one of this guy's other teammates asking for the code. And I don't want to leave it on a bot match, so I say screw it. And we run a 4v4. It should have been a 5v4. Should we have won that? Probably. But at the end of the day, I'm here for the challenge, not just the rewards, and I'm not looking to weasel myself into as many free rewards as I can get. So we did end up running that 4v4 30 minutes after we were supposed to, with some slight modifications to our plan because the guy that we were missing was supposed to start with an outlaw. So we were 1 outlaw down, and the start went reasonably effectively. But overall, they were just stronger, and over time, they were able to overtake us, overpower us. With only the 1 outlaw that ended up getting killed by a Seeker, there wasn't a whole lot for us to do. After all of that said and done, here are the rewards that I got from the entire tournament as a whole. Keep in mind, this is for winning 3 out of 4 battles, and I did not take the challenge score, which is a thing that I could have done to make my battles harder, but also get higher rewards. But my final thoughts on the tournament as a whole. I think it's a little bit ridiculous to have a 3000 SP power gap within the same bracket. Now, I get it, you have to lump as many people into a bracket as you can because it just makes it easier. More brackets is more difficult and nobody wants to deal with that. But at the end of the day, I think what you see is a somewhat extreme case, but a very real case at the same time. Some of my teammates were above 6,000 squad power. My team just barely cut it into the 3rd bracket, which again being 6,000 to 9,000 squad power. My team just barely cut it, whereas the enemy team was well within the 3rd bracket. So they were several thousand SP higher than some of us. And at the end of the day, so long as you're moderately competent, it's basically a guaranteed win. I think in the pursuit of fairness for future events, it would be nice to see a smaller gap within each bracket. I understand that would result in a lot of brackets, and this isn't necessarily important to keep for higher brackets, right? Like 15 to 16,000, there's not much of a difference. But especially when it gets to lower SP, you're talking percentages, right? Especially up to maybe at least 5,000 SP. Each bracket should have only a 1,000 power difference. And going with that as far as you can, I think would just ensure that matches are as fair as possible, and would also make challenge scores a bit more of a possibility. If we were to take the challenge score, that would have matched us up against opponents who were a bracket higher, which would have been easily 10 to 12,000 squad power, which is like twice our power level. And that's for 50% more rewards. It's basically a trap is what I'm saying. I think at the end of the day, I can't feel anything outside of that the challenge score is just a trap to get people to lose for free. If you're smart, you're not actually gonna take it. Unless you're in the highest bracket possible, in which case you take it because why not? There's nobody higher than you. So essentially it only exists for the highest bracket, and I don't think that that necessarily should be the case. I don't think it has to be the case either. So I know that most of this is done, managed and organized and everything by Silence, and if he's watching this video, hi, hello, how are you? I respect the effort that you put in. And I have no idea how much extra effort it would take. Like, I'm just gonna say I have no idea how much extra effort it would take, but I do feel like if it is at all practical, it is something that should be done, because it just makes it fairer for everyone involved. But in either case, it was fun to do. It was easy. 1 match a week. It's not that difficult to set up. I got free A coins from it. I really can't complain. Everything went smoothly. So I appreciate Silence and all of the event moderators for organizing and making sure MAQC ran smoothly. I appreciate all my teammates for showing up and being responsive and performing very well in every single one of our battles. I appreciate all of our opponents for actually responding to me and being able to agree on reasonable time frames. And I appreciate all of you guys for watching. That'll be it for me. Take care.